Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the podcast, the Hofcast. Sorry, um, we're in season 2. We're midway through the high school basketball season, and we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to have a returning guest, Jamar Mosley from Purcell Marion, come on a little later. We got Coach Mike Caldwell from Riverside, who's going to start the show for us tonight. We got a basketball legend and girls Northeast Ohio, Dee Bakelja, coming on. And then we're going to announce the player of the week this week. And just a great show tonight. And like I said, we are going to start first with Coach Mike Caldwell from Riverside. Coach, how's it going?
Pretty good, Rich. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I appreciate you coming on. We're actually going to visit the extreme northeast corner of Ohio and then the extreme southwest corner of Ohio today, and a little bit in between. But first of all, give us an idea of how the Beavers are doing this year, and what are you guys looking at so far?
Well, appreciate you having us. Right now, we're sitting at 4-4. We had a big win the other night against a local team that's very good, Kinston. The kids played phenomenal. A lot of unselfish basketball. We did lose last night to Geneva. We went up there and we didn't take care of business. Just kind of beat ourselves. Those kids played really well, and we didn't really do the stuff that makes us successful. Not turning the ball over, playing good team defense. Offensively, we looked pretty good. So right now we're sitting at 4-4. We just lost a game. We're going to have to reschedule a conference game because of COVID. So we'll be back on the floor hopefully next week, playing Mentor up here. So that should be a fun one. It's always fun to play the local, like the local rivalries, if you will.
Yeah. You mentioned your win against Kinston. That's definitely something that I was going to get into, but we'll kind of go in reverse now since you brought that game up. What was it like for your kids to – Kinston has been at the top of the league for several years. I know last year Brush won, but Kinston has been top 1 or 2 for at least since you've been at Riverside. Take us into that locker room. Like, what was that like for your kids to experience that type of win? And I mean, obviously it was a good game, but it wasn't a 1 or 2 point game. You won by, I think, 8 points, right?
Yeah, I want to say 8. The kids were walking into that locker room, like the energy and the positivity coming out of them was fantastic to witness. It's the first time we beat Kinston in a really long time, and they have been consistently good, top 2 or 3 in the conference, and it was huge. We had some kids shoot really, really well from the line. I think we ended up going 20 of 25 from the free throw line, and down the stretch, like the refs were calling it real tight, and the kids adjusted and they went to the line and just drained stuff left and right. It was good. It felt great. It was the first time I'd beaten Kinston, so it was good. And the kids, man, I wish I had videotaped it. Truly, just so the kids could see it.
Now, can you explain to us a little bit? Now, this is something that I don't even know. You've been there for, is this your 4th year, I think?
This is my 3rd.
3rd year, okay. Where was the program when you took over as far as, what did you inherit? Was it a young, talented team? I know you got some younger kids now, but when you took over, where was the program at?
If making it through this year, I will be the longest tenured head coach in a long time at Riverside, at 3 years. It's been an uphill battle, but just for the program, I think girls basketball a lot of times doesn't get a lot of respect anyway. And so we were just kind of just like an also ran, if you will, like, oh, look, hey, there's a girls program too. We had some good coaches, just fell on some hard luck. And so the program, the year I took over, the previous year, I think we had maybe 2 wins. the next year, so my first year, we had some freshmen step up and play a lot of huge minutes. So we had 3 starters. One was a sophomore; she's a senior now. Then 2 freshmen who are juniors now, and we got 3 wins, and it like for somebody outside of the program, it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it was huge. And then we went on the road and won a playoff game against Mayfield. First one we'd won in probably a decade. Because everybody makes the tournament, but getting that win's not so easy. I think that was a huge stepping stone, the experience for the kids. And so a lot of those kids now that were forced to play as freshmen and sophomores are reaping the benefits now, both from the leadership and just knowing what to do on the floor. And that's helping us a good bit.
Now, I saw you play last year at Stowe, and I know I don't remember the final, but I know it wasn't necessarily close.
It was not, no.
But you played them very tough for every bit of 2.5 quarters, maybe 3. And that was the first time I seen you guys play. I don't remember if we had any communication before that or not. But I just remember thinking, man, this team has some potential. You had 2 freshmen at the time and a sophomore playing major minutes for you. And you really pushed Stowe. And at that point, I'm like, man, this is a team that's kind of intriguing to me. What does it take, and what were some of the most important parts of taking a team from winning 3 games and before that winning even less, getting to the point where you're challenging a team like Stowe, and now this year you're beating a team that's been at the top of your conference?
I think a lot of it has to do with the kids. I mean, truly, we have quite a few kids who put in a ton of work in the off season. They come in every day ready to work, and it's infectious, and they want to win. And they listen and they support each other. Honestly, Rich, they're just a tremendous group of kids. I'm fortunate and blessed to see them on a regular basis. It makes planning and going in that much easier to do. I think when we took the Stowe game, it was one of those things where when you look at Stowe and what he's built and what the consistency that they have, where you can say like, hey, this is what they do. We want to do this too, and this is what we can be. So it was kind of a measuring stick, if you will, looking at it and say like, this is what really good basketball looks like. This is what we could, like, this is what we would like to be. And the kids took the right message from that game, and we stuck with them. We did. Couldn't have been happier and prouder of how they played. We just ran out of gas because that transition something else.
Yeah.
But I think they took the right.
As good as anybody.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yes, sir. And you see it on tape, and then you see it in person, and you're like, oh, that's really good. So I feel like the kids that played in that game took the right stuff from it. And I think that helped us with Glen Oak. I think it's helped us this year because those kids, it's the expectation of not just hanging around in the game. It's the expectation of we have, every time we set foot on the floor, the other team needs to beat us. It doesn't need to be like a lucky tip. It doesn't need to be this. We need to play our game, but there's no reason for us to not walk out of any gym without either a very close loss or a win.
Yeah. We're going to get into the kids specifically. I know there's 3 kids that I know and think very highly of. I know there's more, and we're going to have a chance to talk about them. But as far as some of the staples of your program, I mean, obviously the kids are the major parts, and any coach will tell you you need talent to win. But when you stepped in, like, what were some of those foundations, regardless of who you had, whether you had talent or you didn't, this is what we're going to set our program on, the foundation, and this is how we're going to do it. What were some of those things that you put in place?
Defense, truly playing good defense and playing unselfishly on offense. The biggest thing is, talent helps. You got to put the ball in the basket. You have to maintain possession of the ball. So when we started, it was the idea, trying to change the culture, that things are, you have to earn things. You can't just step on the floor and expect, I'm going to play, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And I think a lot of times when you haven't had success, you don't know what it looks like. You don't know how to handle it. And you don't really know why you're there. Like sometimes the goal, you just get used to losing.
Yeah.
And, you go out and you fight and you don't see the results. And now we're starting to see those results where the kids are like, oh, look, those hours in the gym helped. Like playing good defense. Like, look what we can do when we play really good defense. Look what we can do when we take care of the ball. So I think those would be some of the things that we tried and continue to try to instill in them.
Now let's get to your top three here, and there may be someone that's a top player that I'm not aware of. It's very possible, but you got Bell, your junior point guard, Sam, your junior post player, and then Savannah, your freshman wing.
She's a sophomore.
Sophomore, that's true. That she was a freshman last year.
No worries. Yep.
I was thinking the last time I've seen you guys play.
Yep.
But I think those are all kids that have a lot of talent. I've seen them all recently through the summer playing at my college showcases. Tell us, the people that are going to listen to this, Riverside is not a very popular team or a school. And that's part of the reason why I wanted you on here. I think people need to know a little bit about Riverside. But for just those three specifically right now, give us a rundown of your top three there.
We can start with Belle. She has worked so insanely hard to get better, and a lot of the work that you don't always see a kid do. The training, it's paying off for sure. Her turnovers are, that was a thing that we would always talk about was turnovers. And this year she's done a tremendous job handling the ball. And she has worked really hard to have that mentality of getting the ball in the basket, like that shooter's mentality of like, this one missed, but it's just clear it and go. She's had some huge games for us this year. We played down at the Q last week against Nordonia, and she had 31 points for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she we only managed to score about 44 in a win, but she had a heck of a game. I think a lot of times people underestimate her. She's not necessarily the tallest athlete out there, but the kid's heart and her fight and her drive is phenomenal. She gets it, and she wants that ball in her hands. She hit we were down, like I said, we were losing to Geneva last night, and called up a play, and she hit a 3 to take us into overtime. And she had just been kind of off a little bit but off for her is a relative term.
Yeah.
So she's a tremendous kid, and understands the game truly. Sam is kind of a stretch 4. I like to keep her, get her inside when we have some size matchups. She's an animal on the boards. Is truly close to 10 rebounds a game. She has good size, plays really good defense, fast hands. Like she's an athlete. And she's worked hard on developing her outside game as well, so she can hit threes. A lot of times she doesn't have the opportunity to showcase that simply because we're like, hey, you need you inside. Yeah. And she's always on the floor, and just plays with a lot of heart, a lot of fire, and a lot of passion. And she just gets rebounds. She's always fighting, always trying to get through kids to get those boards, and isn't afraid to be physical. It's kind of she's almost a throwback to a while back. And then with Savannah, she is, I mean, she's about 5'11", just runs the floor very well. She triggers our break a lot. She gets that rebound or the outlet and goes, and she can fire a great pass from about 3/4 court, half court. Like, she's always got her head up, always looking. She's really come along this year as far as scoring. She's had several games where she's put the ball in the basket efficiently, if you will, which is good. She has some very good footwork. I would love to take credit for it. It is not me. She has picked that up on her own, but she's starting to find her voice. It's always an adjustment coming from 8th grade, and then boom, now you're in 9th grade, and it's the same with Belle and Sam. This year, you can see the confidence that they have, having now, like, hey, this is my 3rd year at the varsity level. I can do this. I think as they play together more and grow together more and have more confidence, it's real fun to watch. And I think that they're starting to, not just starting, but truly care about each other, truly buy in, and let's go get this. And it makes it fun to coach. If I'm sitting here giving a shout out to everybody, the kids we have, like I said, are just a phenomenal group of kids. Because basketball is not like her necessary go-to, she's a softball player who spends her winters with us. Amanda Kolar, we've asked a lot of her over the years to take on a leadership role. She's kind of the team mom at this point. Yeah. And she is kind of taken a little bit of a backseat as far as scoring. But she does so much other stuff on the floor. Like, she helps key our defense. She helps pretty much do everything that we need. And is I don't even want to say role player. She's a great teammate. Yeah. From what I see. In our 5th spot, we've had several people start. Skylar Blatnick's a 5'11" post. Also can step out and shoot the 3. Izzy Sandoval, also a senior. We have several seniors who can come in and give us good minutes. We have, like I said, Izzy is a good shooter. From outside, has good size. When she's focused, she does a tremendous job on the floor for us. We have one junior who we just need to get healthy. She had a high ankle sprain right before the season started. Sophia Valvoda, and she gets out on transition better than almost anybody on our team. Like, she gets it and she goes, and she's always under the basket. Like, she gets those scrappy plays. She was one of those young ladies who came up big against Kinston with some free throws at the end. Bailey Whipke comes off of our bench. She's also a senior. Does a nice job filling those minutes that we need. We have a couple sophomores who are, I think, as the season progresses and health hopefully continues to increase, we'll see some minutes. McKenna Thomas she's a kid who just loves defense. She's like, I'm good, coach. I just want to play D. I just want to go out and play D. Can I just go play defense? I'm like, yeah, it sounds good.
That was nice to have.
Oh yeah, she gets after it. Sarah Fulton has been doing a tremendous job for us on JV, and as the season progresses, I think she's got some really good size. She'll be able to get some minutes and help us out. So that's kind of. I don't think I missed anybody.
Usually coaches do, and it's okay. I get it. Even though you're not on the hot seat, you feel like you are when we're live. Now, before we go, like I know that you guys are, one of the things I admire about you is you're not really real. You're carefree on your schedule. I mean, you'll play tough teams. I look forward to getting you. We've talked about getting you down here next year to play some. So I'm excited to do that. I think you're a team that more people should pay a little bit more attention to. I think you have the potential to cause some noise, which you've already been doing. But before you go, like, if someone sees Riverside for the first time or is thinking about checking out Riverside, like what's one thing that you want people to take away or expect from your squad?
That we played hard, that we came out no matter what and never stopped getting on the floor, never stopped trying to grind out a win. I think that's something. These kids, they don't quit. Like there's no quit in them, regardless of what the score looks like. They're always ready to go. And I want those kids to get the recognition that they deserve. Yeah. Truly, I know it's different. Basketball's really different outside of Lake County, but I want those kids to get that recognition that they've worked so hard for, which is why I appreciate you having us on today. I want somebody to watch us and go, man, those kids, they just busted their butts for the entire game. And because they do, they're just a bunch of hardworking kids.
Well, that's my goal. I hope that some people, we don't have like millions of viewers, but we have dozens and hundreds of viewers on a weekly basis. So I hope some people say, who's Riverside? Let me check in and see what they're up to. But Coach, I really appreciate your time. We've been talking now for a couple of years. I really appreciate you encouraging your kids to come to my events, and I know some of those kids have really benefited from that. So I appreciate it, and I definitely hope to see you guys soon. Hopefully this year.
Appreciate you, Rich, and all that you do for the kids and for the sport itself. So I'm glad we could be here. Glad you could have us.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well. Take care.
Bye. Coach Caldwell right there. Just again, if Riverside's not a program that you're familiar with, that's a team that I've been watching now for a little over a year, and they just continue to improve. Like we talked about, several kids that have potential to play at the next level. So there's certainly a team that should not be taken lightly. And if you get an opportunity to check them out, do so. Maybe if it's even online, they do get after it. So we're going to move to our player of the week. Usually we wait till last, but we had to switch some things around today. So we're going to get right into that. And a kid that has kind of been at the top the last couple of weeks, Callie Gregory from Convoy Crestview out Northwest Ohio. I got to mention her because she's had a couple great weeks. I think for the second week in a row, she was in my final 2 or 3. So that kid's definitely getting after it. And I expect that one of these weeks she's going to have a standout week and be the clear-cut favorite. But this week, our player of the week is Lauren Pilata from Jackson. She is a junior. 2 games this week against Glen Oak, who's the best team in the conference. She had 16 points, 8 rebounds. And in that game, Jackson played Glen Oak as tough as anybody had all year until tonight. But certainly in the Federal League, they really gave them the run for their money. And then Saturday, a game that I was at, she had 20 points, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. And we're going to get into why some of those games were even more important than just what the stat line is. But we'll go ahead and bring Lauren Pilata up with her coach, Anthony Butch, who she may have not even known was going to be on here. How you guys doing?
Good, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How's your dad handling that Browns loss?
Oh, he was yelling at the TV a couple times last night. He had to leave the room.
Oh, yeah, that was. I wasn't watching, but I was watching on the Gamecast on ESPN. It was a little rough.
Yeah.
So Lauren, I'm going to get right into the biggest topic of last week. Last year in the game against Perry, you got injured, which, a lot of people may feel like it was a cheap shot, and it very well could have been. How excited were you to get out on the court and play against Perry for the first time since that injury happened?
There were definitely a lot of emotions flowing through me. I mean, a lot of excitement, but also a lot of nerves. I was definitely pretty anxious before, but I mean, once I got out there, I just knew that, I wasn't able to finish that game last year, so I had to give that extra effort. So it was just fun when I got out there. And, my team was obviously, they were behind my back the whole time. They were cheering me on. They were, they had that extra energy too. It was just overall, I mean, it was awesome.
When the game got started, I think you hit your first 3 threes, at least your first 2. I mean, I'm getting old, so I don't remember every small detail, but you certainly started the game hot with at least 2 threes. You guys were getting after it. Perry's not a bad basketball team. They're playing much better basketball this year than they had been, and that wasn't a walkover game for you guys. What did it mean for you to get started quickly in that game, and how did that help you throughout the rest of the game?
Like I said, I mean, just kind of the anxiety was going through me. So once I hit that first 3, I knew I was going to be fine. Like, I just needed to play my game. Couldn't be scared of anything that could have possibly happened.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously it doesn't happen all the time. I mean, those injuries, they come and go. You never know when it's going to happen. But I just knew that, I couldn't worry about it. I just had to play my game and just clear my mind of everything.
Coach Butch, you guys kind of started slower than you certainly wanted to. You lost a couple really close league games. In the last week, did Lauren kind of give you guys a spark? I know there's other kids that play well. Dredke had 24, 25 against Perry. But when you get in that Glen Oak game and it's close and, you want to win that game, but even to be very competitive and take it down to the last couple possessions, did that give you guys a confidence boost?
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that I think that you failed to mention with Lauren, you listed all of her offensive statistics, but in the last 2 weeks, we've really challenged her defensively. She's guarded the best player for Western Reserve, Meredith for Perry, and then Derlin for Glen Oak. And by and large, all 3, she did an absolutely phenomenal job. So, I mean, her offensive skills, get all the praise, but defensively, I think is what myself and our coaching staff is most proud of, because we definitely didn't start the year with the defensive mindset and intensity that is where it's at now, and probably led to some of those disappointing early season games.
Well, in my defense, I can only go with what I'm giving. Whoever put the nomination in, I can only go off of what they gave me. But she certainly has been. She's just a really athletic kid, and I would say generally her defensive matchups are very important. What were you guys? Obviously, you're rolling now. I mean, you got the Glen Oak loss, but between that, you had 2 wins, and then you got a good win against Perry. So you're 3-1 last 4 games. What was it that kind of clicked that got you guys kind of out of that early funk?
What do you think, Lauren?
I think.
Was it Coach Butch yelling at you in the locker room?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. He's not super intimidating, so I don't know. No, it was just, there's so much talent on this team, and we all want what's best for each other. So we just all had to make a commitment. And obviously those first losses were rough, but we knew that, they were obviously all winnable games. So we needed to make the sacrifice, everybody individually, because we knew what we were capable of and what we are capable of and what we've yet to show everybody. So we just needed to make that sacrifice to, get better. And I think that's been working. And we've, every game we're improving even more.
Very well said.
Very intimidating, Coach. You're gonna have to start being a little bit more scary. She puts you on blast on live.
Yeah, listen, Coach Isler's the intimidating one. I just you have to have a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, Hamil used to be the intimidator. Now, I mean that coaching vacancy is that must be the one that all the intimidation's gone. But Lauren, let's go back to the injury. I know it was a longer process than you wanted, and you know, what was your mindset and what kind of got you through the disappointment of, you know, thinking that you're going to be back, and then it got extended a month and then another month, and you know, what were you going through that just said, hey, I just got to figure this out and get through it, and you did?
A huge part of it, and I can't thank these people enough, was just, you know, everybody in my life, my family, my coaches, my teammates, because they were pushing me, because they wanted what's best for me. And I mean, they were there for me all the time. And it was really a blessing, because they are just like, they are the people that got me through it, and I couldn't thank them enough. And it's also just, you know, knowing that once I get out of that rehab, that I'll be able to play the sport that I love again. You know, that's just a huge inspiration for me, because I love that sport and I missed it for, you know, 9 months. So I knew that, you know, there was an end to the tunnel. Like, there was a bright side at the end of the tunnel, because, you know, and now obviously looking at it now, I'm playing that sport again, and it's just a great feeling. And it was hard, you know, through the process. I was doubting myself. And then when it got extended a few times, it was bad. But knowing that I could play basketball again was just a great feeling.
Yeah. And it kind of takes me to my next question. There's always a mental aspect of getting through an injury and then getting back on the court. And I know, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate to be, you know, close to you and your family. So I probably knew more than most people about the injury. And there were times where you thought you could get back on the court, especially even into the fall. And it didn't feel right. So you kind of shut it down for a little bit more. And, you know, mentally, like, you got back when you did get back to the season, and, you know, Coach Butch and I talked a little bit about how well you were playing in the fall. And I know there were some college coaches that went to open gyms, and if I could show you the text that I got from some of them, it was overwhelmingly positive. You know, at that point, when you got back on the court and you knew that, hey, I didn't lose it. Like, I'm still as good as I was, or better. You know, how did that make you feel mentally, knowing that you didn't lose anything?
Yeah, I mean, that was my goal from the start. Just, I wanted to get back, and I didn't want people to see me as the girl that sat out for 9 months and is behind. You know, I knew that I had to work extra hard and extra long to be able to get to the spot where I am, and, you know, for people to look at me as just, you know, just, I don't know, being even better than I was before the injury. Like, that was my goal. I didn't want to be, you know, I didn't want people to pity me because I was out for 9 months and, you know, the injury did a lot, but I wanted to be better than I was.
Yeah. Coach Butch, this is probably there's probably a lot of answers to this question, and it's probably a lot of broad answers, but, you know, you played most of last season without Lauren. Obviously you got her back to start the season this year. Like, after playing without her for so long, what does she mean to the team? And, you know, what does she bring back to the team that maybe you were missing while she was gone?
Competitiveness on the court. I mean, you could see it at the Perry game. I mean, like you said, from literally the opening tip to, you know, the end of the game, where she, you know, had a big block there in the fourth quarter. The fire that she brings is contagious. And when she got hurt there at the beginning of January, it was like deflating a balloon, and we kind of got in a little rut, and then it spiraled on us at the end. But, you know, once she got back out there, and the competitiveness and fire and intensity that she brings from start to finish, every second she's on the court, you can't replace that, and you can't coach it. I mean, that's something that's inside you. That's a heart. That's a fire that not everybody has, and she has it, and it's really what makes her special, and along with her, you know, fantastic skill set.
Now that you guys are rolling a little bit, you know, what's it going to take to kind of carry that into the second half of the Federal League season? I don't think you've completed the first round yet, or maybe you have. But what's it going to take to knock off these teams that you probably feel like you probably should have beat the first time and take the season to the next step for you guys?
It's just gonna, like I said, it's just everybody for the better of the team. And, that's if our streak continues on, if we keep getting better each game, which, I mean, it takes time, but I think those losses at the beginning of the season definitely set us up for a lot of learning. And as long as we listen into, the coaches who are giving us a lot of good information and we put it into play and we do all the little things right, then I think that we can beat those teams and we can be at the top of the league. It's, it just takes every one of us to make it happen.
Before I let you go, do you have any funny stories about Coach Butch? Because
ooh, where do I begin?
I won't put him out there in front of everybody now, but me and you are going to have to talk about these because I'm going to need them.
Listen, Rich. Listen. She thinks she's funny, and I mean, deep down, I mean, it's really she just has dad jokes deep down, and that's like what my specialty is. And I will tell you that we at the day before every game we shoot half court shots, and we track the rankings in the locker room, and I missed the day before a game, and so right now me and Lauren are tied with 2 each. And it's a friendly competition. And over the years, historically I'm pretty good at half court shots, and Lauren, not so much. But
because I'm pretty sure the two guys shot today hit the rim. His weren't even close. I mean, bricks.
Well, anyway, so I missed the day before, and she was mocking me, and I was watching practice on our camera, and she thought she was being funny, and she made it, but she's not counting it for me, even though she was making fun of my shot. So I mean, I don't know, Rich.
I'll tell you both this. I hit 3 half court shots in the matter of 10 minutes today at Glen Oak. So can I get in this? I don't know what the prize is, but I hit 2 back-to-back too, and Megan Kennedy can verify. She was sitting there.
Well, we have a really nice trophy. You get the banquet. You get your name on it. We've been doing this for, I don't know how many years, 6, 7 years. Hallie won last year. Lauren's kind of, surprised to be up there this year, but she'll probably tail off.
Have you ever won?
I got second last year.
Oh,
you had 7 years to win, and you've never won, Butch.
So what does it even matter?
I got to ask you guys this before I let you go, because I get irritated when I'm in Jackson Township doing DoorDash. Because is it just me, or is cell phone reception in Jackson Township in general terrible?
He is a Samsung, so don't ask him.
Well, I'm at the top of the line with an iPhone, and I swear to goodness, everywhere I go in Jackson Township is like a dead spot.
Hey, look, the Samsung gets full reception everywhere, so you guys can knock it all you want.
Don't even get him started. Oh, my gosh.
Superior phone.
iPhones are obviously better.
Superior. You two are talking about cell phone reception.
Maybe I should just get you guys back on here for a whole episode one day. We can go an hour like this. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, good luck the rest of the year. I know you guys, you got Maslin tomorrow. And then hopefully you guys have a good Christmas. I can't believe Frankie and Jackie haven't made an appearance tonight. They're probably in bed, I guess, but I fully expected a guest appearance from the little guys. But
no, they went to bed about an hour ago.
Make sure you tell Taylor I said hi, and Lauren, tell your parents I said hi, and I'm glad I got to see all of them at the game on Saturday. But we'll be back around, and I'm sure I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rich. Quick shout out to you, Rich, for that Christmas collection you did for the needy and everything you do for them every Christmas. I know something I look forward to every Christmas time, and I think that's really a cool thing that you do. So
thank you.
Props to you.
I appreciate your support, not only through donations, but we got your We're going to get your team involved here in the next couple of days. So you're making my life a little easier. So I appreciate that too. And you guys have supported it from day one. I mean, I've done this now for 7-8 years, and it's always been different, and you guys have always been supporters of it. So I really appreciate that. All right, Pilata.
All right.
Get to bed,
Thank you,
do some
Ken.
homework, do something. We'll see you guys soon.
See you.
See
Have
you,
a Merry
Rich.
Christmas.
Thanks. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Oh, look, I accidentally put D up without even. They must have X'd it out before I could get them out. So
Hi.
without any introduction, here we go. D Bakelja. How are you, D?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I don't know. Do you realize how many people in the state of Ohio really, really like you? Does that sink into you?
No.
I mean, you've been a favorite no matter where you've been. I mean, you were a star from day one at Solon. You had just amazing games at the Classic that people will always remember.
Yeah, the Classic was some of the best times of my life.
This
So
might
fun.
be a tough question, but why do you think it is that so many people really, really enjoy watching you play and are big fans of D Bakelja?
Well, I might be a little biased, but no, I don't know. I think people just like the way that I work hard, and I'm aggressive in games, and I'm scrappy, and I think people find that interesting and fun to watch.
I mean, I would definitely agree. Everybody likes the blue collar, hard hat type player, and you certainly fit that category. Your family is all basketball nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just face it. You got two brothers that played Division I basketball. Jordy played at Clarion.
Mm-hmm.
Your older sister. I see your dad wearing Allen Iverson jerseys, and that wins major bonus points in my book. What was it like growing up in that family? That, I mean, I would venture to say basketball was all of your lives. And
yeah. It was really fun, honestly. It was intense. It was a lot of basketball from a very early age. Like I started when I was, a toddler, and my sister started when she was a toddler.
Mhm.
Like, we all started when we were very young, and we grew up working out together, playing basketball together, being on each other's teams, playing summer league together. We started off at the YMCA, and then progressed from there. But and my dad, we would literally have workouts with him every night. He would come home from work, and we would shoot in the backyard and do full out workouts with me and my siblings. And we probably didn't really enjoy it that much back then, because we were definitely getting yelled at, and it was definitely hard. But those are some of my favorite memories from growing up. Is it's the summertime, and we're playing 2-on-2, boys against girls, me and my brothers and sister, and just going at it. And so I think it was a great childhood, and it really prepared me for the future. And I don't think I would be able to play the kind of basketball that I play today without that foundation of hard work and the help from my family members.
I would imagine that your brothers and your dad and even Jordan, she's what, 2 years older than you?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine they never took it easy on you, ever.
No, it was definitely a very competitive atmosphere, especially as we grew older. And like I said, we would play, me and Jordan against Mike and Sin, but then my dad had to cut that off once we got to high school, because, the boys just got too big and strong, and they weren't showing any mercy. So that had to be stopped.
When do you remember the first time? I'm sure you've beaten your dad one-on-one. Do you remember the first time it's happened?
I would say maybe like in high school, probably. But yeah, he's funny. Sometimes like once I got to college and then I would come home in the summer and he would work me out. A couple times he would actually do the workouts with me and like be doing the shooting drills and the ball handling and all that. So, you know, he's a character. And my family's definitely a basketball family. My mom knew nothing about basketball like when she started dating my dad, and then now she's the ultimate basketball mom. She knows every single thing. She watches 100 times more basketball than I do. She watches games every day. It doesn't matter if it's a random team. She'll watch and cheer like it's her own kids playing.
Yeah.
So she kind of got roped into it as well, and even though she's never played basketball before.
Now, how does your dad Kevin, your mom Melissa, they have 3 kids playing at the same time in college? How in the world do they manage that? I know they probably are at a ton of games.
Yes.
But how do they divvy that out? Like we're going here now and there later, and that's got to be tough.
Well, I would like to say that I'm priority this year since it's my last year ever. But it's definitely a bit harder for them to get to my games since I am in Chicago. And then Sin's at Kent, so they get to go to like all his home games since it's, you know, only 15 minutes away. But my mom made a whole spreadsheet, a Google Docs of all our games and like when they are and where they are. So she has that all color coded and ready to go so they can really organize what they're doing. But they are multitaskers for sure. The other day I had a game and they drove to Mike's game, which was at like 12, while watching my game on their phone on their way to Sin's game in Kent. So I was like, okay, their whole day is basketball and they love it. So it's awesome.
It makes me a little bit upset with myself that I've never seen you play in college yet, in person.
Yeah.
I have watched online, especially after I get the ESPN Plus app. It's so great. I've watched more than one this year alone, but I certainly need to get out there to see you. And I'm going to give you my word right now. I'm going to do that.
All right. Yeah, it's definitely tough because I don't play any close games in Ohio. The only one is Xavier. That's relatively close, but we were supposed to play Kent State last year, but then that got canceled during COVID. So that was a bummer. But
well, I don't need a close game. I'm actually a big fan of the city of Chicago.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I haven't been there in a couple of years. Actually, I'm a White Sox fan, so I don't need an excuse to go to Chicago, but you're gonna give me one.
Got it.
How has Chicago been for you? You've been there 4 years, or are
this
you?
Is my 5th year, so obviously I like it a lot. You know, it's just I never have been there before I committed there, and I kind of just fell in love with it. There's just so many things to do. You're never bored. Because sometimes, like, you know, if I went to, you know, a different school, like a bigger school that had a college town, you know, that's just all that there is in that town. But in Chicago, like, there's literally something to do every single day. So it's very, very hard to get bored. So especially, and so like when people come to my games and stuff, they can make a trip out of it. So it's kind of nice for them.
Do you know your plans yet after you're done? Are you going to stay in Chicago? You headed somewhere else, or do you know?
I'm really not sure yet. It's definitely up in the air. I would like to go to California, but we'll see.
Can we add back to Ohio to be a high school coach to the list? You know, just
No.
throwing that out there.
No, I don't think I'll ever be a coach.
Well, Ohio definitely misses you. What is it? You played obviously 4 years. What did it mean to you to play in a program like Solon with the tradition that they have? You know, and for a coach like Coach Cruz.
It meant a lot. My first 2 years there, I was playing with my older sister, so that was really, really special. And I wish all the time that we could, do it again, because it was just so fun and so cool. And that was really helpful for me because she kind of, taught me a lot of things and helped me through the transition of, being a successful high school player. And I was obviously with a lot of great players on the team.
Mhm.
So that was something really helpful for me for my college career. I was surrounded by some really good players and a really good coach who, held us accountable, and a lot of things that we did in high school transferred to what programs do in college. So I think that I was, really well prepared to go to college. So just having that kind of tradition in high school really helped me when I went to college.
After you're done with your basketball career, you're going to have your holidays back.
Yes.
So you may be able to get on the same team with Jordy in the driveway again over Thanksgiving dinner or something. But
Yeah, I think she might be retired now. She's
never,
old and married, so
you never retired from being a teammate with your little sister. A lot of times when kids go to college, it's a struggle. You were certainly a dominant player at Solon. And then you go to DePaul. Obviously, things are different. You're not scoring 30 points a game. Rarely does that happen. You're not playing as many minutes. What helped you kind of make that transition from being the star player that touches the ball 50 times a game to, being a role player at first and working into your bigger role?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Freshman year was really tough. It was, pretty brutal to go in there and only get a minute a game, and it was definitely hard because I was coming from such a high level in high school. But I had some really good teammates, and we were a really, really good team at that time. And so, I kind of understood, this is a really good team, and you're still on the team, so that that means something. And I developed a lot during my freshman year. I learned a lot. I don't think I would, this past year and this year have been my best years in college so far, and I don't think I would have been able to do that if I didn't go through the things I went through my freshman year in regards to basketball and playing time. It was just like a really fundamental year, and I take a lot away from that. And honestly, I'm proud of myself from that freshman year because I had a lot of perseverance. A lot of people, it would have been really easy for me to transfer and, go to a situation that, I would be playing right away and scoring 20 points a game. But I knew that this was a really special team, and I really liked my coaches, and I kind of just trust the process. And every year I played a little more, got a little better. And so I'm just really glad I stuck with it because I'm really happy with where I am right now and the team that we have built throughout the years.
No, you bring up a great point about how things are tough, and like you said, your freshman year was really rough on you. And what would you tell kids now that are going through the same thing, and they may not be as resilient, and they just immediately think transfer? Obviously, transfers are just a huge part of the game now. But you made it through your situation, and you got better and things improved. But what would you tell kids that may be freshmen right now and thinking, maybe I'll just go play somewhere else?
Yeah, I think you just definitely need to stick it out for the year, and talk to your coach and like straight up ask him what you need to get better. How can you get more playing time? Where do they see you like in the future, and kind of just have that real dialogue with your coach, so you know where their head's at, and talking to your other teammates, just kind of seeing what they're feeling like. And of course, if it's like a real issue, if something's like really going on, then then that could be means for transfer. But if it's just playing time and it's tough, I think you really need to try to stick it out, because it's gonna go well for you in the future. It was a real slow grind for me for my time in college. You just get a little more playing time, a little more this, and in the end it accumulates to actually getting the minutes that you want and playing the way that you want to play. And it's just important to have a system that you want to be a part of and a program that you want to be a part of. If you don't like the coaches and you're not getting the playing time you want and you're not doing the things you want to do on the basketball court and you don't like your teammates, then obviously you need to get out of there. But for me, I really did like my coaches and my teammates and Chicago, and I was getting an education, so it's kind of where I wanted to be.
Let's talk about some of the fun things. You obviously have experienced a lot of great games in your career. What was, maybe if there's more than one, you can bring up more than one, but what is one game that just really comes to mind that you were really had a great time and you're going to remember playing that game forever?
We've had a lot of fun games. What comes to mind, like this year we played Kentucky at Kentucky in Rupp Arena. That was really cool, and we beat them. And then last year we played Kentucky as well when they were number 9 at our place, and that was a really fun win. But I think it was like my sophomore year or junior year, we played UConn at Chicago, and we were down like 29 at halftime, and we were like really down on ourselves. We're like, oh, it's another blowout. And then we come back the second half and we cut the lead to 3 in the fourth quarter, and like it was just a crazy atmosphere. It was like one of the like largest swings like ever. Mm-hmm. And it was like really fun. Like everybody was cheering, there was just so much adrenaline. It was a really fun, I was actually like, this is my junior year, so I was actually like, getting playing time. I was doing good. So it was like really fun to be on the court at that time, because it was just such a crazy turn of events, and we literally had them within 3 points. So I always, even though we didn't win that game, I always think of it as like one of the most fun times that we've had.
I was going to say, what is it like to go to Connecticut and play in stores against players that are going number 1 in the draft? Even now, I'm sure you had to maybe guard Paige Beckers a little bit when you guys played them. Like, what is that like to play? You're nose to nose with the best player in the country by a lot of people's estimation. But what is that like everyone grows up and watches UConn, and now you're on the floor playing against the best of the best?
Yeah. For my team and for my coach, like we go in 100%, preparing to win. Like we're not just going in to play them and to try to be close and score with them. Like we're like actually going to win. And we play them every year, even when they weren't part of our conference. We played them every year. And obviously, it's a crazy atmosphere that they have, a lot of fans. Even when they play at Wintrust, the majority of people there are UConn fans. So it's kind of crazy in that aspect. But we kind of just try not to look at them like they're, above us or some superstars. We're like, they're just, regular athletes like us that we're playing against, and we're going to like give it our best shot. But I'm really excited to play them this year. We play them December 31st at Chicago. So we're really excited and pumped for that one. So yeah.
I'm sure that attitude comes directly from the driveway, catching a bow from Mike or Sin.
Right, for sure.
Just to get back to the Ohio basketball scene, like what did it mean for you to grow up in Ohio and be mentioned as one of the better players in the state at the time, and play against all these great kids, and we see all of them now playing in college. What makes that special specifically about Ohio? Because not every state has it like we do. We're really, really fortunate. But what did it mean to you to grow up and play in a state of Ohio like you did?
Yeah, so Ohio has, some of the greatest women's basketball players to come out of any state. And so it's an honor to be one of the top competitors coming out of Ohio. I respect a lot of the people, who have come out of Ohio to play in college and have done well. A lot of people have done really well. So it's really cool to see people achieving, the things that they started in high school and stuff. And yeah, it's just cool to come back home and, kind of reminisce on the times of high school and middle school and AAU ball and just how crazy it was, how much basketball I was playing at the time, and just all the different people I was playing against and different people I got to see, the classic in the country. That was, the best times of my high school career. And they were so fun to play in. And, anybody who gets to play in them is lucky. And yeah, it's just awesome to think about all the stuff that I've done in my childhood, and how it correlates to my career now. Yeah.
First thing that comes to your mind, your favorite high school game that you played in,
Gosh.
and the favorite player that you got to play against while you were at Solon.
You're going to be like, what the heck? I honestly don't remember. I don't remember anything. I was in such my own world in high school. But I'm sure if you call my dad, he'll tell you exactly what my favorite game was and who my least favorite player was to play against, because he kind of kept track of all that for me.
I can tell you right now, there was the game at the Classic where you had 32 or 33.
I was going to say a Classic. I don't remember who it was against, but I know the Classics were some of my favorites.
You put on an absolute show, and that was one of my favorites. But as far as a player, was there any player that you had a rivalry with that you just always enjoyed getting on the floor, or maybe even if you played them one time and you just remember squaring off against somebody that, maybe even having a great college career like you're having?
I don't even know. I know there's been a lot of good players, but
this just goes to show why you're so good and why you just get things done. You don't even care who you're playing against.
No, yeah. Truthfully, in high school, it was I didn't pay attention to who was who, and if this team was the number one team in the state or the last team in the state. It really didn't make a difference to me, honestly.
I have to mention this guy before we go, because he always listens to the show, and he calls me and texts me periodically after watching the show. And we brought him up before, but you got to play AAU with Carlos.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Carlos. What was it like to play for Carlos? And please tell me you have some kind of funny story that's appropriate to tell everybody on the broadcast, because I love getting the funny stories.
Oh gosh. Well, he was my first AAU coach and my only AAU coach. I started playing for him when I was in second or third grade. And I stayed with him my entire AAU career. So he's a really special guy to me. And, he kind of molded me to be the player that I am now. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But when I played AAU for him, I got yelled at the most out of everybody on the team. I would always get yelled at. And I used to count how many times I would get yelled at so I can like report back to my dad and like, I only got yelled at 20 times this practice, or I only got yelled at 25 times. But he was an awesome guy. He was a funny guy. And, you know, he's a great coach and a great person.
Absolutely. He definitely takes great pride in being a coach for players like you. D, I know you're probably off school right now, so you're probably trying to catch up on some Netflix. So I'm gonna let you get off here. When I remember, and I feel pretty fortunate that I had a good relationship with your family and you and Jordy, and you know, probably better than most, and I feel pretty fortunate that I still remember. I still have my DePaul shirt. The first time I saw you guys after you committed to DePaul, your dad had a shirt for me, and I don't think I fit it quite like I did 5-6 years ago, but that's all right. I'll get back in it. But that meant a lot to me, and just, you know, as you know, I've always been a big fan of yours, and I really appreciate you coming on. If you can do me one more favor before you're done, I would love to have a 8x10 signed by D. Kelja to hang up in the house before you're done.
I'll try. I'll do my best with that.
And like I said, I am giving you my word. I'm going to be in Chicago to see you play before this season's over. That is a guarantee.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, D. I really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, everybody loves them some D. Kelja. So
thank you for having me on. And, you know, thank you for continuing to promote women's basketball.
You're welcome. I think you guys were around when I first started. Maybe not the very first, but it wasn't very long after I started that I got to know you guys and became fans. So you've quite literally been around from the beginning.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
All right. Well, you tell your parents I said hi, and I'll be keeping an eye on you over there in Chicago.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Guys, I mean, when anybody thinks Ohio basketball, D. Kelja's name is at the top of the list. And I know she's been in college now for 5 years, so some of these younger kids have been unfortunate and didn't get to watch D play. But she's just tremendous. And as you can see, just as good a kid. Well, she's not a kid anymore, but as good as a young lady as she is a basketball player, and probably even more so. So I just really appreciate her coming on. And now we're going to go to the far southwest corner of Ohio, and we're going to welcome on Coach Jamal Mosley. Are you driving, Coach?
I am driving, but I am good, Coach. I'm actually pulling up to the house in the next couple minutes.
I was going to say, if something happens while we're on here, this footage is going to go to the police department, and I'm going to be in big trouble.
No, Coach, we're good. I'll be home in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, obviously, you've been out recruiting tonight.
Scouting.
Sometimes it's the same difference if you go to a private school.
Yeah.
Now, we had you on the show last year. I got to know you a little bit, and we got to talk about your kids a little bit, and since then you guys made a run in the tournament. You got to the Final Four. Tell me a little bit about that run. We haven't. We talk a little bit. We communicate here and there, but we never sat down and talked about that. Like, what was that run like for your kids down there at Purcell Marion?
Man, to be honest with you, so the last couple years, can you hear me well?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the past couple years, we've led our conference and we've been in the top 5 in the city in defensive scoring, and we've just struggled to score the basketball in the last couple years. And this year, we have 5 freshmen that's playing significant minutes for us, and were actually number 1 in the Southwest Ohio in scoring. So, to answer your question, our offensive production wasn't where I thought it could or should be, but like our defensive production was off the charts. So, I mean, we led the conference and we were in the top 5 in defensive scoring the last 4 years. Excuse me. The last 4 years, and like I've been very satisfied, and like we've had very great defensive players. We have Jamani Jones, we've had Janae Roses, we've had Kara Kings, who just were locked down defensive players, and we were able to hold teams to 30 plus points. I mean, 40 and below points in the past, where now we're giving up 45 points, but now we're scoring 70 points. So to answer your question, with our Final Four run last year, I didn't have the basketball players that I have now. So I have 6 girls who know they want to play college basketball, whereas last year I had 3 and a +1 who knew they wanted to play basketball at the next level. So, with everything said, like, I was very satisfied, and don't get me wrong, I want to win every single game. I want to win every single possession. I want to win every single scrimmage, every practice that we have. But with the effort that our girls gave every year and knowing their goals every single year, like, I can't be mad at the results. I mean, I think we lost by 6 points in the Final Four last year to a really good Berlin Highland team who had 5 girls go off and play collegiate basketball. With everything said, I was very satisfied, but with that, I want to win every single thing that we do.
Yeah. And the thing that stands out to me is I was at that game. Well, first of all, your red pants definitely stood out to me. That's and I'm not even making fun. That's something I would wear, but I wouldn't be able to rock them like you did. But the Highland staff, who that I'm very, very close with, and man, I'm telling you, they had nothing but positive things to say about you and your squad, and you quite literally pushed them to the brink, and it was a 1-possession game deep into the game. And even further, they scout like crazy, and they said that you guys did so many different things than they even seen on any scouts. So that's just a testament to you and your kids being prepared and not relying on one thing or another. But again, the way that the Highland staff talked about you guys, I mean, may or may not mean a whole lot to you or your kids, but it certainly is something that really illustrates what you guys got going on down there.
No, that's one of the. I mean, after the game, after everything was said and done, after they beat us, once we met at half court, I mean, every single one of the Berlin coaches, they had something to say about us, and that was literally the first thing I went into the locker room and told our girls. I was like, you guys, I mean, you girls may not know anything about this staff, but like, this is one of the most respected staffs, no matter the division, in the state of Ohio, if not the country. And like, and the first thing that he said to me was like, you guys gave us everything you had, and you all were probably the hardest game that we had to play in the last 3 years. And I was like, and I told our girls, like, for that to come from this staff and where they come from, for them to have the season that they had and the run that this coach has had, like, that says a lot about you all. Not anything about me, but the effort that you got, that you all gave every single night, day in and day out.
Yeah.
Like, I could draw up whatever I want to draw up, but like the effort that you gave and for the compliment that they had to give, like, says everything about the effort that you all gave.
Absolutely. What did it do for your team getting to that point? Like you said, you expect to win every game, so you certainly weren't satisfied to an extent. But what did it do for your program? Because you guys did go from, I don't know, 8-10 years ago what Purcell Marion was like, but I know in the last 2 to 5, they were a winning program, but it seemed like you guys struggled to kind of get your name, out there and get that respect. Now you did that, made it to states. Now, what did that do for your program moving forward?
Honestly, in the last 4 years, I think we won 81 or 82 games. Like, we were one of the most successful programs in the state, no matter division. And like, one of the things that my staff took pride on was development. And I think that one of the things that people in the Southwest Ohio saw that was that we developed talent. And so when you think about developing talent and where we're going, I think that's what landed us some of these freshmen. So we have 4 freshmen that's playing significant minutes for us, and one of those being one of the top players in the country, and D. Alexander. So I think D. Alexander and her family saw what we were doing, what we were trying to do, and I think, to your point, was they saw what we were trying to do, and they was like, we want to be a part of that, and that's how we landed one of the top recruits in the country.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, everything that we were trying to do, everything that we were doing, was the reason why we were able to land some of the top freshmen that ended up at Purcell Marion.
Yeah. And I was going to get to that at some point during the interview. Like, how did these kids not end up at Mount Notre Dame or Mason or some of these power schools from down there? But you really answered that. I mean, people are seeing what you're doing and the culture that you've set and the expectations, and kids want to be part of that.
No. So to be quite honest with you, so before I was a basketball coach, I was a trainer. So I was doing a lot of training in the tri-state area, mostly on the boys' side, but I had quite a few girls. But before I was a full-time, I can't even say full-time coach at the high school level, but before I was coaching, I was doing a lot of training, and I had quite a few kids that was coming to me from training. And when Dee Alexander was in the 6th grade, I trained a few times, like she was one of my paying customers. And from there, it just happened. She loved my training, and I had a couple other paying customers, and from there, I think the rest was history. And then especially with the job that people saw that we were doing with over at Purcell Marion.
Yeah. Now, you guys obviously play a very tough schedule. I think you only have 1 loss right now. Is that correct?
Correct.
I literally just seen Jack Eifert in Newark tonight at Glen Oak. We talked a little bit about your game, and he said that, I mean, he had nothing but positive things to say about you guys. And you got him pretty good at the journey of the tourney. How do you take a lineup that's majority freshmen that haven't experienced playing at the highest level at high school quite yet, and immediately be able to contend with these powerhouse teams across the state?
Man, honestly, if anybody would have told me that we would start off the way that we started off, I would have told them that we were crazy, that they were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the simple fact, like, we literally have 4 girls that's the age of 14 that's playing the significant minutes on our team. But also, with that being said, the way that we run our program, like, we don't care how old you are. Like, you got to be ready to play. And I think our girls accepted that challenge very early on. And I mean, we've just been rolling since.
Yeah. Let's get into this freshman class a little bit. You got some kids that we have communicated about and talked about. Let's start with D. Alexander, one of the top kids in the country. Tell us a little bit about her for the people. I've never seen her play in person. I've seen pictures, and I thought, wow, that kid's a lot bigger than I thought she was. But for anybody who hasn't seen her play, give us a little bit of an idea of what we should expect when we get to see her.
I mean, D. Alexander is the epitome of the best player that you're going to see. I mean, she is a leader. I mean, she has no true flaw. I mean, I guess if you had to say she had a flaw in her game, it would be shooting. I guess she's 0 for 6 the last couple games. But, I mean, she is everything that you want in your best player. I mean, she wins every sprint in practice. She is the first one to call out someone that's not doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
She's the first one that's going to slide over and take a charge. I mean, she's everything that you want in someone that you call your best player.
Yeah.
honestly, she's a once in a decade type player. Like,
Yeah.
if I was to ever coach a kid like D. Alexander again, I would be honored. I mean, I'm honored to coach her now, but like, if I was honored to be able to coach another kid like her, I mean, it's just wow.
Yeah. Now, who else we got? Who else we got in that freshman class that we should be keeping an eye out for?
So you got D. Alexander, then you have the twins, who are Kiera and Sierra Miller. So Kiera Miller is actually, the last couple games, I think she's dropped down, and she's now maybe second or third in the conference scoring. But she has been our point guard. Excuse me. She's been our point guard, and she's averaging 13 or 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 or 6 assists. But she's going to be playing AAU ball with the Cincinnati Angels, and as well as her sister. So when we played in the Journey to the Tourney, her sister, Sierra Miller, she hit, it was either 6 or 7 or 7 to 8 threes against Newark. I mean, she's what in the NBA what you call a 3 and D person. So
Yeah.
she's going to lock down your best offensive player, and if you leave her open, she's going to hit a 3.
Yeah.
So you got D. Alexander, Kiera Miller, Sierra Miller, and then you have Trinity Smalls, who is probably, if not one of the best shooters in the state. Like,
Yeah.
every time she shoots the basketball, I think it's going in.
That's a great name too, Trinity Smalls. I mean, you can remember that one. That's like a superhero name right there.
Yeah. I mean, and she was one of those, and that's what I tell everybody. I'm one of those coaches that's very transparent, that's very honest, and she was one of those kids early in the fall. I was like, she's never going to play varsity for me. She's going to be a strictly JV guy if I don't cut her. And then she just starts showing up, and she did everything that she had to do. And I mean, in our scrimmages, I told my JV coach, like, yeah, you're probably never going to see her.
Yeah.
And early on, she was through the first 7 games, she was averaging 13 points for us, and now I think she's averaging 11 points. But I mean, she's one of those kids that every time she shoots the basketball, I mean, what's the 2 sisters? One graduated last year, and the other one's a sophomore at Berlin. Mullet.
Mullet, yeah.
Yeah, Mullet. So yeah, she's
internationally.
Yeah. So she reminds me of the older one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
that's a great comparison.
yeah.
Now, my question is, last year when I watched you play in the semifinals, and I remember making this comment to Kuzi, you guys were much more fundamental and methodical than I was expecting. Way more. Like you played the Highland game as well as they did, but much more athletic and a little bit more size. But you mentioned how your offense has kind of evolved and it's a lot more wide open. So if I see you guys this year, should I expect more of a fast-paced offense and not so much of the half-court, really, nail it down offense?
Honestly, so last year we still tried to play a fast-paced, a fast-paced offense. We just didn't have that offensive firepower that we have this year. Whereas this year we have literally, I think we have 5 girls that can score in 3 dimensions. So we have 5 girls that can shoot the 3, that can get to the basket, that have the mid-range game. So I think we're just a lot. Don't get me wrong. Last year I think we were a lot better defensively. Like I think we did a great job locking teams down. And those we had 5 seniors that locked into the scouting report. They knew exactly what we were trying to do defensively. But this year we have 5 girls on the floor, at all times that can score from 3 dimensions.
So are you telling me that you guys were a fast-paced offense, but in the Highland game you were able to slow it down that well, and that wasn't really your go-to style?
In Highlands defense,
I was impressed.
I think in Highlands defense, I think they did a great job of slowing us down, and they did a great job of doing having a lot of on-ball pressure. We've never seen somebody play us half court with that pressure that Highland put on us, and we were not able to simulate that in practice, where we were able to simulate everything else that we've seen throughout the season in practice. Highland did a really great job of playing their basketball and making us adapt to that, whereas we tried to make them play how we wanted them to play, and they were okay with playing that way.
Yeah.
So Highland in Highland's defense, they did a really great job of scouting us. They did a really great job of executing their scouting report. And down the stretch, they made plays that we were averaging 6 threes a game. We made 2, and both of them were in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah. So there's compliments to go around then, because you're giving Highland the compliment, which I agree with. But the fact that you guys, they were able to slow you down, but you still played a slower pace of basketball really, really well, also says a lot about you guys. Last question here. We'll let you go. You had a busy day and a busy night, but what's it going to take? You guys have started off, like you said, even better than you were kind of expecting. What are a couple things that you guys need to kind of focus on now to take in through the middle of the season, the end of the season, and hopefully be able to reach your goal again?
Honestly, one of the things that I have to remind myself every single day is that we are younger than most JV teams. We're literally 4 of our top 6 players are 14-year-old girls. So one of the things that I have to do better, and one of the things I tell the girls at all times, is that we got to get better at just end of game situations. So even the game that we lost, it was a tie ball game with 60 seconds. We ran the clock down to 30 seconds. I did not call timeout and had 2 timeouts left. And D. Alexander goes in for a floater. She misses it. Summit comes down, hit a pull-up jump. I probably should have called timeout and let them know they're not putting a lot of pressure on us. Let's hold it for the last shot. I don't. It was a learning experience for the team. It was a learning experience for myself. This isn't the experienced team that I had in the past. So to answer your question, I think the biggest thing for us is that We just got to learn that every possession matters. And a lot of that comes from film. So we try to watch between 15 minutes to 45 minutes of film every single day. So, just learning from our mistakes. Even yesterday, I mean, we won by 40 points, I think it was, but it was a lot that we could have learned from in that fourth quarter, in that last period. So,
well, Coach, I hope I do get to see you guys this year. And if I don't, I wouldn't mind if it's in Dayton. I'll accept that as my first game to get to see you guys. But I appreciate you coming on the show. We talk quite frequently. We stay in contact, and I appreciate you supporting, what I try to do. And I'm going to book you and D for the off season. I want to get this kid on the show at some point in the off season. I would love to talk to her. And if she's a kid that we're going to be watching as a top player for the next 4 years, I think all my followers need to be able to see her and see what this kid's about.
Yes, sir, for sure, Coach. You just let me know when you want us on. I have nothing but love and respect for everything that you're doing for our girls and for our state. And if there's anything that I can do, and I'll do it. And me and D will definitely be on the show.
Appreciate it, man. Well, you get in the house and maybe you even got dinner still to eat. So I know not to get between a man and his dinner.
All right, Coach. Well, I would definitely be in contact with you.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck the rest of the season.
All right, Coach. I appreciate you.
All right. Take it easy. All right, guys. That's it. Another great show. Again, Coach Mosley took that Purcell Marion team all the way to the semifinals last year. Seems like they really reloaded and probably are more talented even this year. So excited to see what they got going on this season. But again, thanks for everybody for listening. I hope everybody has a great Christmas. What is it? 4 days away? I forget what day it is. But again, everybody have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening. Do something good for somebody. Treat people well. And please don't be fake.